Hello and welcome back to another Flosstube. If you are new here, it's so lovely to meet you, and if you're returning, it is so lovely to see you again. Today we are doing an August stitching recap. So I'm going to walk you through all of the very exciting things that have been happening in my stitchy world, which include a really lovely stitch night that I was able to attend with some friends, some Zoom calls for the Stitch Connection with some other Stitch Connection updates, as well as a couple of finishes, a couple of FFOs, and 2 pattern releases. That is also going to be paired with, I think, an announcement for a giveaway, so please stay tuned for some details on that. So let's just jump into it. I knew that August was going to be very busy, and I warned you last month, so I don't think that my numbers are very impressive, nor am I 100% satisfied with how much stitching I got in, but regardless, let's look at the August statistics. So I stitched 15 out of 31 days, which is not great. I did say I knew it was going to be less than July, but it was worse than I expected. On those 15 stitching days, it was across 7 different projects. I had 2 finishes, 3 new starts, and a total of 4,504 stitches. Although it was across a wide variety of projects, and there were some finishes and new starts, 4,500 stitches is not that much for an entire month, so I must admit I'm a bit disappointed with that. Although those numbers are not fantastic, I am looking forward to September, and I'm taking a peek at the September stitch calendar already, and it's a much better streak so far. So I'm hoping that those numbers will be a little bit more satisfying come the next Flosstube. Numbers aside, let's get into what I actually stitched on this month and some of the exciting things that were happening. To begin, I was actually able to attend a stitch night at our local needle workshop. I guess it's something that they had done in the past and they're reviving it, which is really exciting. So they just stay open later one Thursday night, and you can come in and stitch and chat and shop and all of the good things. So I attended this stitch night with Kendall from Stitched by Kendall, Lindsay from Maybe Stitching, and Abby from Pansy Stitches. It was actually also my first time even visiting this local needle workshop, which was truly a wonderful experience, and I had been kind of saving the opportunity to finally go visit it for the stitch night, so I was very eagerly waiting for that day to come. So I was able to capture a little bit of footage. I'm going to put it here of some of what the stitch night looked like. At this stitch night, I was working on my Tiny Mod Artist's Dark Forest, and I'll have some footage to show you later on of the current status of that project, which I'm very looking forward to sharing with you. The next exciting update was some progress has been made on the Stitching Connection round robin that I'm doing that is hosted by Jason X Cross Stitch. Since we last spoke, I think that there has been 2 more Zoom calls that Jason has hosted, and my connection has been able to attend one of them. And that was actually just the other day, so technically that's September, but because I'm filming now, I'll include it in this recap now. But it was a really, really lovely Zoom call, and it actually ended up being a very, very small group. It was just Jason, 2 others, and all of Connection F. So we were joking that it was our connection overtook that entire Zoom, and it was almost just a one-on-one session with Jason, which was really lovely. We were all stitching on some different projects. Some of us were stitching on our connection projects, and some of us were stitching on some other stuff, but I'm happy to report that I was stitching on my connection piece, and this would be a new start for Flosstube. I started it early August. However, I think this is the first time that you're seeing it. So here it is, the progress that I'm at. I believe I am, it said 6% or 7% of the way through, which blows my mind because that feels like pretty sprawling already for such a small percentage. And because this is getting chopped up into 4, I'm only responsible for 25%. So I still have quite a bit to do before this is ready to be shipped off. As far as the rest of my group and where they're at, Joan's done, which is wild. She did say that she's pretty sure her pattern is the smallest of the 4, but she banged that out very, very early on. So she's kind of just waiting for the rest of us to get our shit together. Matt is progressing really, really well. The last time he checked in, he said that he is staying on track, which is great. And then Tina, she is in the very early stages of starting because she decided that she was going to tea dye some of her own fabric. We're all doing pretty well. None of us are falling behind too badly. Joan is just our overachiever of our group and is making us look a little bit slow. But we're really excited to start the shipping process whenever that is. Like I mentioned when I originally started talking about the Stitch Connection, we're a pretty low pressure connection, and if we need a little extra time, I don't think anybody's going to be upset. So I'll be sure to continue to update you as the connection continues. And really exciting news, Matt has actually started a Flosstube channel, which is really lovely, where he'll also be sharing some updates regarding our round robin. So I'll put his handle here and I'll link him down below so you can go check out his perspective of the round robin and all of the other really wonderful projects that he's working on. The next exciting update since we last spoke is I attempted to do my very first YouTube live streaming session. So the intention behind the live was a fully finishing party, and I had a couple projects that I was working on FFOing, and I knew that I'd be sitting at the desk for a while, and why not just go live and see how it goes. And it was really fun. I had a couple of folks who popped in and we chatted for a while. I had Renee and Lindsay from Maybe Stitching, and Rachel from Lemonade Stitching, and Jason from Jason X Cross Stitch, and they popped in and out every so often, and I was able to have some lovely conversations with them. And most importantly, and what I didn't even expect, and I guess I should have, is that they gave me such great advice while I was working on these FFOs. As I've mentioned in the past, I am not a great finisher. I can finish in a hoop pretty well, but every other kind of finish is kind of new territory. So there was a lot of trial and error, and there was a number of times where I was like, oh, do any of you know how to fix this problem? And they'd be able to type in the chat and say, oh, do this, this, this. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I think that the finishes would not have turned out nearly as well if I hadn't decided to go live. So I'm gonna put together a bit of a compilation of the highlights of what that was like here. To call it for this live for tonight. All I've got left for today is finishing this border around the edge, which is not the most exciting thing to watch, but I made really good progress with it. I'm really happy with the way that it's turning out, and once I'm rested and back up tomorrow, I will be picking up with finishing off these two projects, fully finishing them with the trims. Then I'll do some filming, and maybe I'll finish this Biscornu this weekend. That feels a little bit optimistic, but you never know. Thank you so much for all of the folks who popped in and everybody who said hi and gave me some tips and tricks while I was finishing. This was a really fun first live experience, and I think I'll definitely be trying it some more in the future. So thank you all so much. And for the folks who are still here, thanks so much, Jason. It was lovely to speak with you, and until next time. Okay, so that was kind of what the live stream consisted of. I think it's going to be something I'm going to continue to try in the future, especially when I know that I'm going to be filming something anyways, and I'm just going to be sitting around crafting, that it might be more fun with a little bit more company. So look out for that in the future. I don't think I'm ever going to make some sort of set schedule by any means, but I'll probably try and update on my Instagram. So if you're looking for more updates like that, go check me out there. But in the meantime, I'll do a recap of all of the projects I worked on in the FFO party live. So the first one that I think I showed a little bit of is the progress on the Biscornu. And this is still not done yet. This is still going to take me some time for sure. It is a little bit more labor intensive than I would have expected, but that's okay. I am having a good time with it. I'm really liking the way that it's turning out, but attaching these stitches on the edge is really, really time consuming, and they are really, really tiny stitches. It's making me feel a little bit fumbly in my fingers while working on it, but you'll see this finished at some point, but not today. You would have seen me work on this cutie, ooh, my autumn leaves pattern, and I opted to just do the flat finish. Both Renee and Rachel were really helping me out in the chat putting this one together, because this is definitely a very new finishing style for me, and there's some imperfections, definitely room for improvement. But all things considered, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It's so cute. I'm either gonna attach something here to dangle it off of something, or maybe put a fridge magnet on the back and put it on the fridge. But regardless, it's getting me into the autumn fall mood. And like I mentioned, this is actually a self-drafted pattern that is officially ready for release. So by time this video is up, this will be accessible on Etsy. So if you are interested in stitching the cute autumn leaves, go check it out there. I was able to stitch this up in one weekend. It is very, very, very small, as you can tell. And it was a really nice, satisfying, quick stitch and get something really cute at the end of it. And then the last project that I worked on the live is the spooky haunted house pattern. So on the live, I was painting the frame. I added trim to the edges here. This is a really different style for me. I don't typically gravitate towards anything super Halloween-y, and I definitely do not ever pick colorful fabric. So this was a lot of new, but I'm so happy with the way it turned out. And I'm so glad I went to go get this fabric. I almost just stitched it on whatever I had sitting in stash, but I really feel like it brings it to a more Halloween-y vibe. Ugh, and I'm tickled about the way that it turned out. So for the finishing, it's just a hoop finish in this square hoop with the trim on the edge, like I said, and just a felt back. Also a self-drafted pattern. So you can also find this pattern in my Etsy if you are also in this spooky stitching mood to get ready for Halloween. So if either of these patterns interest you, go check out my Etsy. I'll link it below and you can stitch either of them for yourself. So some background or context of these patterns. I actually designed them last year. I believe it was last August actually, because I was preparing to be a vendor at a local craft market, which I had never done before. And I was really intrigued by the idea of putting together DIY kits for the patterns that I have. So I drafted up a bunch of beginner-friendly patterns, and then assembled and created and designed these DIY kits that I was selling, as well as some other finished tubes. I'll try and add some photos in of what my booth looked like. And it was a really lovely experience. I had a lot of fun. It was pretty successful. I would love to do some more in the future, but it was a huge time sink getting all of the inventory ready for the day that I just have not been able to find a good opening in order to try that again. So maybe it will be in my future again to try another craft market and make some more DIY kits. But in the meantime, I do still have a little bit of inventory of specifically these two patterns, so the Haunted House and the Autumn Leaves kits. So I figured because I'm officially releasing the patterns online, so what better time than now to do a giveaway and share the love and see if any of you would like to stitch these. So if you're interested in entering the giveaway, I'm giving away one of each of these patterns in their kit form, and you can comment Haunted House for this one or Pumpkin for this one in the comments below, and I'll randomly select somebody and send it off to you so that you can stitch it for yourself. So in each kit, it includes a paper printed pattern, and a little instruction manual, and a link to get a digital download if that's something that you prefer, a hoop, the floss on a floss drop, and the fabric. If you're interested in either of those kits, comment down below, and like I said, I'll draw a name before the next video. The last finish that I have to showcase is my tiny modernist. I finally finished it. Isn't she beautiful? And tiny, so tiny, itty bitty. I obviously have not thought of a FFO plan yet, but I am so satisfied with how the stitches turned out. And this was one of my first times really experimenting with back stitching, and I am such a fan with the final result that I'm going to be less scared of it moving forward. And hopefully next time you see this, I'll have come up with some sort of FFO plan and it will be truly finished. But here it is. So the last thing that we can talk about are some of my coming up plans. And I think my goal for September is the same that it was for August. Finish some of my whips. They have been sticking around for a little bit longer than I would have preferred, and I would really like to start wrapping some of them up so that I feel like it can actually start with some new starts. So goal for September, clean up the backlog. Like I had mentioned, I really think I will have some more free time in September, so I'm looking forward to my stitching statistics to be a little bit stronger than they were this month. I'm also really hoping that I'm going to be able to attend the Harvest Moon Hangout, which is Lindy Stitch's upcoming virtual event. I'm hoping to do another little recap video like I did the last time. The only hiccup is that is one of the weekends I know that I do have a lot of plans, so it's going to be a little bit more free-flowing, come in and out than the previous time, but that's okay. That's one of the joys of a virtual event, right? You can kind of enter when you are able and you can remove yourself when you are busy. If you were headed to a Harvest Moon Hangout, I would love to meet you in the speed dating or the stitching rooms. I look forward to being able to connect with more of you. Other than that, my other main focus is going to be getting the stitches in on my round robin for Stitch Connection, and hopefully catch up to Matt and Joan so that I can be ready to ship off when all of us are ready. I think that wraps up everything I have to share and talk about for August stitching. So thanks so much for watching and being here, and I look forward to the next.